thank you, Colin, for that really kind introduction, and thank you for inviting me back to Tree. I first ever read poems in public at the Tree Open Mic back in 1983 when I was preparing for my first book to be published, and Sue McMaster and Colin Morton both taught me how to read, which was to look up once in a while from the page and to be slow, and I still haven't learned the last lesson. I'm going to begin with some newer works, a selection from a serial poem called Family Matters, which is about genealogy, because it seems to me that everyone is investigating their genealogies these days and in some ways always hoping to find a king or a famous writer or somebody in their background to justify existence, and mostly what they find is something quite ordinary. So I'm just going to go ahead and read these 4 poems. Your 4th great-grandmother was a country wife. Most of the year she is ice or black water beneath the current, still, unmoving. When the bufflehead ducks return, though, she is out on the edge of the bay with everyone else, watching for sails he might come back. She has her boy and her girl to show for his visits, the account at the company store. She doesn't have to hunt, but most times she does. It's easier out on the land where she can dodge the gaze of other men. Her boy has his father's eyes, cold blue. She looks into them and recalls his voice, how his tongue stumbled over the syllabics of her language. The taste of him, milk, flesh, ashes. Her son will take to wife a girl like himself, and his daughter will marry a trader in a church, move south to Red River. Your great aunts remember reels, their grandfather in buffalo coat, felt hat. Yourself, you can't bake bannock to save your life. Your grandmother's mother was on the streets. On the streets in Edinburgh in a year of poor living. On a foggy, foggy street. On a street where a gentleman in frock coat and button vest backs her up against a rough stone wall. On a street where broken cobbles kiss her knees. On a street where your grandmother and her twin stare at the Quaker lady in a neat grey gown who takes them by their chilblained hands. The mother comes home with a loaf of black bread, a tin of thick milk, to find her baby girl's gone, the cough that will kill her rasping through her tears. When do they begin to forget her? Perhaps in the heaving dark of steerage. Perhaps when they are taken out on deck to air, blue eyes filling with white light, white whir of gulls, iceberg white. Perhaps on the train to Montreal. Perhaps when they are pried apart. One goes to a farm in Plum Hollow. One disappears. How they lived. A peddler, a pauper, a long line of farmers, many soldiers, some sailors, 2 pilots, 1 preacher. Few rich men, most poor men, 1 doctor, 4 lawyers, salesmen, day laborers, morticians, manager. 2 pianists, no singers. Church organist, no dancers. 1 artist, 1 author, no athletes or actors. Homemakers, seamstress, boarding house keeper, piece workers, shop clerks, all kinds of teachers. How they died. Childbirth, pneumonia, failing hearts. At home in their own beds, in a nursing home, in hospitals surrounded by families whispering prayers. Alone, wrestling potatoes out of frozen sod. Lost in a blizzard between house and barn, in a pea soup fog, in a storm at sea. A privateer sentenced to be hanged, mustard gas, shelled, jumped at the end of her rope. Fell down a well, fell from a stagecoach, horse kicked to the head. Fell under a streetcar, scarf caught in its wheels. Fell out of a cherry tree at the age of 95, felled by her taste for jam. No last words recorded, their names on lichened stone, 4 Elizabeths, 3 James, a couple of Johns, 2 Marys, a Marie, Edward, Elisha, and Irma, Heber and Jotham, a Patience, remember, mercy. That series of poems just won the 2010 Gritlit Poetry Award. I'm going to read from Relay, which is an experiment in form both form in terms of the line and in terms of the construction of the book. In terms of the line, what I'm trying to do is push prose as close to, push the piece towards prose while maintaining the lyricism of a poem. And in terms of the construction of the book book begins with a man in a bar, and then it passes from person to person, and it returns at the end of the book to the bar, but to a different man in the bar, and then to the bartender. So I'm going to begin reading a sequence from towards the end of the book so that you'll get the idea of how these pieces link. And you'll have to excuse me if my voice goes. I've been quite sick with flu and I start hacking. So. The single. Sometimes you just have to move to feel the earth's resistance to the bones you no longer lay down lightly. Sometimes it's enough to walk under a gray sky in a January thaw, fog wisping over snow below the lowest branches of the poplars, squirrel tracks a labyrinth to follow. Sometimes you turn face down the portrait snapped years ago in a moment of abandon, the half-smile, blouse and button to display tan cleavage, frame on the dresser where you see it in the morning, in the night when you turn the lights on to banish specters. You finally move it to another room. Sometimes your phantom breast aches or the lost nipple stiffens. There's no explaining this. There's no explaining how restless you are when the day begins to darken so early, too early. How far away the summer seems. You can't wait for tomorrow, never mind July. On long-term leave, though the treatments are, at last, thank God, over. The new normal, single and single-breasted. Brittle with divorce, your sister looks at you lopsided, arms folded on her own two breasts, as if she were hiding them, protecting them. She wants to buy you padded bras, she talks of reconstruction. She can't accept you living asymmetric. Sometimes you just have to move away from and toward, travel light, travel to the light in a land where even the alphabet is alien. Prove that you're not ready to be boxed away. Prove that you're still living. The traveler sits cross-legged by the rooftop pool, nails digging on bites on her ankles. She knows she should leave them alone. She knows she should wear long pants last night or douse herself with bug spray, first lesson of the tropics. Bathed in sweat, a thin sheen on her skin as if trapped in a hot flash that never ends, and her hair, which grew back brindle, not the brown mop she was born with, crinkles in the damp. Sparks would fly if anyone should touch her. She needs to sleep. All those hours lost in transit, a whole day lost to time zones, hands puffy, swollen face, almost the chemo look again. The pool still, the hotel the kind that prides itself on service, though she woke to rhythmic pounding on the wall more than once last night. Maids on every floor, starch sheets, frangipani on the pillow, she thinks it's frangipani. She dozes underneath a creaking fan, dreams helicopters thrum, guns stutter, stench of things on fire, wakes cramped, stultified, the word for what she feels. Horizon dimmed by clouds, not clouds, smoke of slash and burn farming. The evening sky a scarlet haze. That's what destruction does, makes beauty from what passes. White blossoms fall, a gentle rain of ashes. The student. This is new, this is different. Slow boat down the Mekong, 2 days playing poker between rows of wooden chairs, bets of thousands kip, has lost about $2. Hasn't eaten more than fruit, toilet a hole chopped through the stern, brown water rushes underneath, deadfall, a bloated dog, plastic bags and bottles. Shares the platform in the bow with backpacks and 6 kids, blonde baby in a sling, what mum would say to traveling like this. Boat bumps against a village dock and small girls clamber in, tote baskets of bananas, Pringles, water, beer. Their bare arms blotched with bruises, their voices a sing-song. Who he meets. Germans, Swedes, of course Americans. A drug Israeli burned his shin on a scooter in Phuket, but still won't lead the road. An older woman traveling with a backpack on her own, an Amazon she calls herself, gives him a paperback she's finished with to read. if he could be that brave to go and keep on going, leave no tracks behind. The neighbor, who has lived here long enough to watch a generation grow from infant to adult, the boy next door traveling in Asia who used to drive his big wheels on the sidewalk, wobble on a bike with training wheels, take his 10-speed racing up the rail trail, then learn to operate his mother's car. Who hangs her bed sheets on the line even in winter, they come in crackling stiff, defrost on the banister, whole house redolent with sun. Who witnesses drug transactions in the playground, young men in dark blue sports cars passing back and forth, and the van parked once a week at noon, motor idling, rocking up and down. A man, a woman, have they nowhere else to go? The woman gets out first, tugs her clothing straight, climbs in her red car and drives away. Who watches, who sees, who notes the coming and goings, the familiar and the unfamiliar cars, the dog walkers, strollers, newspaper carriers? Who keeps herself to herself, open laptop on her knees? The lover. Each time she swears will be the last, even as she wriggles in her seat to free the grab of nylon in her crotch, pantyhose pulled on awkward in the van, not a lot of room to move, but just enough. Bangs her fist on the wheel, never again, and the horn blurts, startles an old lady on the sidewalk. Small white dog lunges right out at the car as though its red were a cape she flaunts. She breaks in time. Claws scrabble at the door, high hysteric bark. Old woman mouths sorry through the glass, dog turning back to snarl. His wife, her friend, their children in the same high school classes. The two of them behave like teenagers themselves, hand notes under the dinner table, their spouses busy chatting, the passing touch, the coded conversations. All the names she calls herself, homewrecker, wanton, dissolute, slut. All the time she says, we have to stop doing this, meeting in the park to talk, knowing what talk between them always leads to. His mouth, her lips, the seats tipped back, the gray car blanket. Each time she tells herself, don't answer, when her phone rings at 11:10, his morning break. She almost lets it go to voicemail, ignores the looks of coworkers at their desks, manager saying, aren't you going to answer that? Of course she does. Of course it's him. Of course she answers yes. The usual place, the usual time. This hectic flush she will blame on menopause when she knows it's heat. In heat she is, and helpless. I'm going to go back now towards the beginning of the book. And that dog that was in that last piece appeared actually in the front. And I don't want to say it's my mother's horrible Jack Russell, but, you know, it does have some affinities. So this piece is called The Dog Walker. Come on, Jackie, walk along, Jackie. There's nothing for us here, Jackie. What the world is coming to. The world is too much with us. Who wrote that? Bible? Book of Common Prayer? Shakespeare? Wordsworth. For this, for everything, we are out of tune. Was a good place to live before all these apartments where real homes used to be. If only they had left it all alone. There I go. Woulda, shoulda, coulda. The past flew perfect. What's past is so much clearer than the present. Let's not talk about the future. The past, it's got its beginning, middle, and its end, true narrative, all we want, a good story, happily ever after. What time is it? What time? There will be time, there will be time. Oh, Eliot, oh, Prufrock. Oh, for the time before this time when he was here with me, held your leash in one hand, my hand in his other. First the children go, then him, then I will have to go, my daughter says, leave our house of many rooms to live in one. How I will miss the light in the bedroom in the early morning before the kids wake up, miss the creaking of our double bed. The witness. So you see that dog there? My uncle had a dog like that, only with a bit more brown in it. Same way it strains at the collar, almost strangles itself. Wish it would, hate the things I do. That dog bit everyone, some more than once. Felt those teeth in summer. Yeah, my uncle and his dogs. So one time my cousin brings his girlfriend home. She brings her parrot with her, scrawny thing but loud, whistles up a storm, drives the dog plumb crazy. Cage on top of the buffet, dog springing like a jack on its hind legs, oh, the barks and squawks. So she lets the bird fly free when the dog's out in the yard, and of course the dog gets in, takes the parrot in mid-air head first and in the hall before she has a chance to scream. Uncle, cousin, girlfriend, all us kids chase the dog around the house from kitchen to living room, back again, us laughing fit to burst. It's not funny, she yells at us, but all you can see of the bird is its feet, dog gulping as it runs, Uncle swearing, it's not dead, it's faking. So my aunt offers a chicken wing, and that's enough to make the dog spit out what's left, not much but claws and feathers. Buried them at the foot of the garden. Dog digs them up 3 times before my uncle does the job right. Their jaw won't flush for a week. So a dog like that, yeah, let me tell you, I've got 100 stories. The uncle. Where is the goddamn Jeesley car key? Slams open, slams shut the top drawer of his desk, each of the kitchen drawers, the drawer in the telephone table in the hall. Sweeps his forearm over the table, knocks letters in a vase to the floor. Crystal hits the padded carpet and does not break. Flowers silk so nothing spills. Wants shards of glass and a dirty puddle. Wants her to step in it. Pockets. Used to the weight of keys in his pants pocket, soft thud against his thigh each time he moves. Goes through the coat cupboard, the clothes cupboards, his and hers. Checks every pocket, comes up empty. Not in any windowsill, on top of the piano, on back of the commode. She won't let him call her at work, can't take personal calls in the library. He knows why. He's seen her at the front desk smiling at the men and boys with their furtive books and rolled up magazines. Why she needs a job at her age, his. Where did you last put it, his mother would say about anything lost. Baseball gloves, school bag, Sunday school pin. A saint she was, may she rest in peace. Close your eyes and picture where you were when you last saw it. Good idea. Sit on the bed for a minute. Take a load off these weary feet. Take a breather. Tugs the cord of the oxygen tank that follows him everywhere like a cur with its tail between its legs. A dog that doesn't know enough to run away from a beating. Hangdog. Tubes in his nose hanging round his neck. Lies down, times his breathing to the pant of the machine. Where was he when he last had the key? Weight settles on his chest, dog up on the bed, resting her head there, eyes on his. Dogs always underfoot, always begging for attention. This one, though, would pat her silky fur. Dog pants heavily, licks his face. Reaches up to brush her tongue away, cheeks wet, and the tears keep leaking. In a minute, he'll get up. He'll get up and take the damn dog for a walk, drive to the park and let her run, chase sticks. Always had a good arm, good pitch. Time to go, in a minute, when he's caught his breath, when he can find the key. And I'm going to finish with a love poem because I always feel that every poetry reading should end with a love poem. And this is called The Couple. Barking of the dog next door wakes them, and the crows. A while after that, a bus wheezes to a stop across the street. Everyone around them leaves for work, for school, on vacation to the farthest east. They can stay in bed, they're on sabbatical, they're free to snuggle in their duvet's nest and dream. A while after that, the nudge of feet, then hands, then hips. They move in silence as if not to disturb. This rental has such thin communal walls, though no one else is home to hear them. Such stillness makes the most familiar magic, like walking in the first snow in the park, the trail they follow muffled. They come to the lip of the hill and let go, roll over in a flail of limbs and sheets until momentum leaves them gasping and apart. A while after that, one gets up to crack the blind, to let the grey light in.